Okay, welcome to the series entitled Soft Skills to Enhance Your Small Business, with this presentation focusing on overcoming career setbacks. The Veterans Business Outreach Center for Florida is one of 22 VBOCs in the country, and we work with transitioning military members and veterans who want to start or grow their own business. And we also assist members of the Guard and Reserves as well as their family members, all at no cost, because we're funded through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. All opinions, conclusions, and/or recommendations expressed herein are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the SBA. My name is Janice Encio, and I'm one of the business consultants that, among other things, I work with clients who want to start their business or grow an existing business. I'm a native Floridian. I've lived in Southeast Florida and Northwest Florida. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army Reserve, and I've owned and managed several small businesses. My work experience is varied, includes legal, judicial, medical, and some general business. I have an MBA degree with a concentration in healthcare management from Western Governors University. And I enjoy sharing my experience with other people that want to start their own business. The VBOCs serve clients throughout the country. So whether you're in Florida or another state, there will be a VBOC that serves your geographical area. If you want to become one of our clients, simply visit the website vboc.org and register at the top. Once you're in the system, you're assigned to a consultant who will reach out and discuss your business idea, and we'll see how we can help you. And you can also reach us by calling 800-542-7232. The term soft skills is often overused, and people tend to think of them as all the skills that you might use other than technical skills. There's a quote that says, soft skills are the skills that enable you to fit into a workplace. They include your personality, attitude, flexibility, motivation, and manners. Soft skills are so important that they are often the reason employers decide whether to keep or promote an employee. So as a business owner, you may have considered, or maybe you're considering having your own business. Well, you can see from that quote that there's an important role that soft skills will play in the way that you manage the business. If you take the second part of that quote and you replace some of the words to say, soft skills are so important that they are often the reason customers or clients decide whether to continue or stop working with the business, then you can see how critical soft skills are for any business. So it doesn't matter whether you're selling goods, services, or even concepts. We're all drawn to people and businesses that know how to treat us well. And this presentation will focus on the soft skill of resiliency, which is maybe one of the most useful skills in your toolbox of soft skills. Resiliency is useful in your personal life, if you work with someone, but especially if you're a small business owner. Basically, you need to be resilient to weather the storms when situations are rough. And you also need to be prepared when things are going smoothly. All along the pathway of life, we'll find variances in situations and we'll often face unexpected challenges. So managing these fluctuations can help when setbacks happen. If you work for an employer, it might be easier to walk away from a job when the going gets tough. But if you're a business owner, you're really married to that business. So the business is completely dependent on the way that you're managing it. That's especially important for business owners then to learn resiliency skills. I said learn resiliency, right? So if we aren't born with resiliency, how do we get it? We might compare immunity with chickenpox. When a baby's born, it has no immunity or resistance to chickenpox. If it's exposed to the virus without having the vaccine first, it will likely get the virus or experience some unpleasant side effects. However, if it gets the vaccine and is later exposed to the virus, it will likely not get the virus or at most just have very mild symptoms. And the same can be said about resiliency. If we've never been through any sort of adversity, we may not have developed resiliency. As adults, most of us have experienced some sort of adversity, but how did we handle them? Did we learn lessons from those hardships that helped us better cope with future setbacks, or did we stress out and not handle them well? If that's what we did, maybe we didn't build enough resiliency to withstand other setbacks in the future. So it's good to understand them and how to handle them so that we develop resiliency. And one thing I'll say here is that sometimes as parents, we try to protect our children from anything bad that could happen to them, and that's good. But, we have to learn some lessons, maybe the hard way or some consequences in order to develop resiliency. Consider how you might define a setback. It can depend on what stage in a process that a setback occurs as to how you're going to define it. A delay will slow you down on a pathway, and that could mean that the situation will change sooner or later, but you may feel confident that you can remain on that pathway. A halt will stop you on a pathway, and this might be time to decide whether or not you can or should proceed. A reversal means that some of the steps that you've already taken toward a goal have been undone. Any of these types of setbacks could have the same impact or not, depending on the circumstances, but regardless of whether the setback is temporary or permanent, there are ways that you can manage the situation. Financial problems can be a common reason a small business experiences trouble, and it can be so severe that it closes a business. Criminal charges of a business owner or anyone in the business can interrupt operations and damage the business's reputation. Legal situations, whether they're criminal or civil, can have minor to major consequences on a small business or on your career or your life in general. Disasters might occur from natural events such as weather, or they could include other things such as riots or vandalisms of your business. The side effects of divorce, family, and relationship conflicts can often spill over into our work lives. Drama can occur at any age, and it seems that social media has exacerbated it. So left unchecked, it can use up a lot of our valuable resources like time. Changes in family dynamics, such as pregnancy, concerns with children, and difficulties with frail parents can sidetrack our businesses. Sometimes the need or requirement for additional education can interfere with the path that we've chosen for our business or our career. We'll all experience physical and/or mental health concerns at some point, if not for ourselves, for others that are close to us, and they take energy and focus. If we find we have a lack of appropriate insurance to cover business losses, that could cripple or shut down a business. Economic downturns can occur locally, regionally, nationally, or globally, and they obviously affect our finances and our operations. And as we've seen with the global pandemic, it has a domino effect in many areas of our lives and our businesses. Global unrest can affect supply chains, pricing, and a sense of peace. And I'm sure you can think of other factors that could have a setback in your life. And we will likely experience several of these through the course of a lifetime, and all of them can impact our careers, our small businesses, and our lives. So I'd like for us to take just a moment to hear some real people who have experienced setbacks. And as you listen to their stories, think of the impact it had on their immediate plans, what they thought that they were going to do, but also how they looked toward their future. How did they react? How did they handle it? This is Brenton Peacock, Brent, and he's the director of the Florida Veterans Business Outreach Center. But the path to this point was not easy, nor was it in his plans when he started his career. So let's take a listen.
I owned an entertainment group, Brentcom. We provided musical entertainment, both live bands and DJs, to weddings, receptions, proms, homecoming games, private parties, and other events. But my career aspiration was to serve in the United States Army. By age 14, I had achieved the rank of Eagle Scout with the Boy Scouts of America. At that time, I was the youngest Eagle Scout in Florida. And obtaining the rank of Eagle Scout is a sure path to military service. A head-on collision with a drunk driver resulted in a 45-day coma, followed by 18 months of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and anger management. I was disappointed to learn that the Department of Defense does not enlist persons with closed head injuries. Once I had completed my occupational and physical therapy, I started up my entertainment group business. But I found that injuries that I sustained during the accident were detrimental to my ability to lift and move heavy sound reinforcement equipment, light and light stands, unloading drum sets, and other musical equipment. And realizing that I wouldn't be able to serve in the Army, I was forced to reinvent myself and look at my other internal capabilities to be able to pivot. I had completed my associate's degree with a focus on music education, and was starting a different path, writing words instead of writing musical notes. So I enrolled in Florida State University School of Business and pursued and completed a communications business degree, with the understanding that the Army was no longer an option and the music industry was more competitive and harder to get into than I'd realized. I had to change career paths. But I soon realized that I enjoyed the business side of running my entertainment group as much as or more than the performing side. I decided to focus my acumen in business. I worked for a while at the Florida Department of Labor, assisting job seekers with employment opportunities. I was then led to an open position at the Florida Veterans Business Outreach Center as a business analyst. I was hired 14 years ago. I since have completed a master's degree in management and am now the director of the Florida Veterans Business Outreach Center. I say remain focused. Don't get frustrated. A strong focus allows you to see clearly through all the clutter of options. It will define your strengths and more clearly help you to direct your path forward. Following a career-ending situation, you begin to realize that failure is not the end. So allow yourself to be open and available to pursue different things that might be on the periphery of your interest. That's what I did.
Those were great words of encouragement. And we appreciate him sharing his story. And now we're going to hear from Brenda Evans. She's a nurse navigator at one of the largest healthcare companies or systems in the country. And she was sure of her plans until she wasn't. So let's take a listen to what she has to say about a setback that occurred about an exam. Whoops, sorry, let me go back.
I worked so hard to get through nursing school, had a good GPA, never missed a class, made it to the very last day of the last semester of my associate's degree program, and I failed. I managed to get my medications on time except for the last dose, and that was enough to fill the semester. It was difficult. It was a low point in my life, and I had to find a way to keep going. And I did that by simply willing myself forward. I took the class again. It was difficult. It was hard to explain to a class of new people whom I had never worked with why I was repeating the last course of nursing school, but I did. And I got through. I did everything that I needed to do. I put my pride aside and I worked hard. And I graduated. I got that diploma. My family got to fly down for real and celebrate with me. And I got the job that I really wanted. I was able to work in the operating room, go through an internship, sail through. It was difficult, but I did well. I stayed there and precepted many new nurses. And what a joy to see people grow in their profession as I had done. Over time, I've taken on additional responsibilities, and I've actually been in management, leadership positions of various kinds. I've been involved in many initiatives in my hospital, and 20 years later now, 25 years later, I have a good career, a thriving career, but it hasn't always been easy. Whenever I think that I might stumble and fall, I reflect back on the nursing school that I failed. And I keep going because that's what saved me. Just getting up and keeping going, to keep trying to understand that this is a moment in time that will pass. Always keep going and never give up. It's advice that I still give my nursing students. It is advice that I still try to live by myself day in and day out. I'm rewarded every time I see a patient recover and come back into my clinic with a smile and a thank you. I'm rewarded every time I see someone enter the nursing profession and succeed. I'm happy that I've had something to do with others' successes and persevering and investing in other people's and my own success have helped me throughout the years. I've and my master's degree since then and couldn't be a bit happier with my career. But you just have to keep going. You have to keep trying, always.
Thank you. That was very encouraging too. And now we're going to hear from Jim Paul. He's one of our business consultants here at the VBOC, and he's going to talk about how he experienced a series of setbacks that changed the course of his career.
Hello, my name is James Paul. I'm a business analyst for the Florida Veterans Business Outreach Center. I'm new to the organization, but prior to that, I was a commercial bank lender for about 35 years. Worked for both small and big size banks. I guess one of the most significant setbacks I ever experienced was in the year 2000. My first wife passed away from liver disease after battling the illness for a couple of years. And at the time, I was working as a regional manager for a U.S. bank out of St. Louis. And it was a great job, had great income, had great people working for me. But what happened was, at the time of her death, my two sons were only in 3rd and 4th grade. So it pretty much necessitated, obviously, my wife had been a stay-at-home mom. And so I was able to focus on my career, and she was able to stay home and take care of the boys. Well, unfortunately, when she passed away, I'm an only child, and my first wife, her one brother didn't live in St. Louis. So we had no help really with the kids. So after about 3 months, 4 months of going through different babysitters and what have you, it just wasn't working out. So the bottom line, I asked for a leave of absence from my bank in order to, get a situation resolved with childcare for my two boys. Well, the good news was I was able to get the get the leave, and I was out, and it took me about 4 or 5 months. Was able to finally get an au pair, a live-in nanny, for lack of better words, and things are starting to work out. Well, I called my boss and said, "Hey, I finally got the personal situation pretty much straightened out. I'm ready to come back to work full time." And he goes, "Well, we got a problem." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, another bank is buying our bank." And U.S. Bank's buying our bank. It was actually called Bank of Commerce before. And he goes, "There's a freeze on hiring." He goes, "We're going to," he goes, "Jim, I know this is bad timing for you, but we're going to eliminate your position. However, we're going to give you a nice exit package, eliminate the position as a result of the merger. We're going to give you a nice financial exit package and medical benefits for a year and all that," which they did. However, A, I lost my wife, 6 months prior. Now B, now I'm losing my job and having to take care of 2 kids. So needless to say, I was pretty down. The good news is, with the help of my faith and some other close family members and good friends, they encouraged me to at least try to go do something part-time. Well, I ended up doing some part-time consulting that led to a job offer with as a part-time CFO with a high-speed boat manufacturing company in Missouri, which then ultimately led to me getting back into banking. So then after about 2 years, I guess it was 2.5 years, I ended up getting back into banking full-time and was able to finish my banking career about 3 years ago. So I guess the moral of my story is sometimes things come in waves. In my particular situation, I had a personal tragedy with the death of my first wife, and then 6 months later lost my job. So the bottom line is, you can persevere. Do not be shy about asking for both mental help and physical time with friends and family, because if it wasn't for that, I probably would not have really rebounded to the extent that I feel like I did. So don't ever be afraid and don't ever give up. That would be my motto.
That's awesome. Many things happened that caused setbacks, but he was able to persevere, and we're thrilled to have him here, by the way. Okay, and this one is going to be one of my stories. I've had several setbacks in my life, but this is about my job losses and how I had to come to a point of choosing what to do when those things happened. Hello, my name is Janice Bengio, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my career setback history. So I was in healthcare for many years, and I think I was doing a pretty good job because I started out in some positions outside of medical staff services and then went into that department. And I started out as a coordinator, and I worked my way up to a manager position. And I feel like I was doing a pretty good job. And I guess my coworkers and superiors did too. I got offered a job with a company in another state, and they recruited me to go up there. And so it was a good career move, and it was an increase in pay and responsibility, and I became a director. Unfortunately, right after I did that, they had a RIF, a reduction in force, and I lost my job then. And that was a very devastating feeling to me. It was not only a difficult move for my career, but I thought about how it impacted me financially and emotionally. When you go through something like that and lose your job and you don't expect it, you begin to question how well you did your job, regardless of what the circumstances were. But in any case, I knew that I had to move on. So I was able to find another job in another state. And unfortunately, it took some of my retirement savings in order to move and set up shop again in a new place. But I was thankful that I got that job, even if it paid a little bit less at the beginning. I was able to progressively move up in my career and learn more and more as I went along. I also achieved a bachelor's degree, maintained certifications, and got a couple of extra certifications while I was working with that organization. And when I got my bachelor's degree, I was able to move into a brand new role as a corporate director of a department, a new department. So that was a very fun challenge, getting to set up a new department with new people, new equipment, new software, and so forth. I felt like I was doing a pretty good job until my boss retired and someone new came in. And like typical when someone new comes in that level of position, they often want to bring their own people. So my position was eliminated. And once again, I found that I was without a job all of a sudden, without any warning. That's a very, very difficult position, especially when it happens a second time. But again, I had to think about, what am I going to do? What can I do? If thankfully someone in the organization had a position open and asked me if I would like to apply for that. It was in project management, so it's a little bit different than what I had been doing. But I went to work over there. I was also working on my master's degree at the time. And I was able to learn a lot about project management. Even though I had been doing projects, I never had that title or that sole responsibility. I really enjoyed it, and I worked with marketing and communications, but I was told that if I wanted to move upward in project management for that organization, I'd have to get my PMP certification, project management professional. And I'd already heard that it was a very difficult test, but I knew that it was something, a challenge that I needed to do. I studied for it and I passed it the first time, and I was very grateful. And that happened just after I got my MBA degree. So I was able to transfer then as a senior project manager in the IT department. That was a wonderful move because I got to learn things that I never thought about knowing in the past. And I just want to say that when things like that happen, and they can happen and often do, especially in today's environment, don't give up or don't think it's the end of the road. At least for me, when those doors closed, other doors opened, and it gave me wonderful opportunities to challenge and grow and see what else I could learn and do. And I found that I really liked them. And I'm thankful that those stepping stones happened that changed my career field. I stayed in healthcare for a long time, but if those things had not happened, I probably would have become stagnant and stayed in the same place. So, don't give up. Look for the silver lining, because I promise you, they're out there. All right, so I hope those examples were helpful to listen to. But now we see that no one is immune to having setbacks, no matter what. So we can look ahead at what do we do about them. First, let's start by analyzing those three types of setbacks that we've already identified. We'll start with delays. A delay will keep you from making progress for that moment, but it likely means that you can resume at some point. If you've been delayed, you might ask, how long will this delay be? And what will you do while you're being delayed? What are the consequences of waiting? How are you going to handle the delay, both internally and publicly? Is there something you can do productive while you're waiting? A halt. A halt is much like a delay, but with just a subtle difference. A halt is more uncertain, and there might not be assurance that you can resume whatever it was that you were doing when you got delayed. Uncertainty often comes with emotions of anxiety and fear. And I expressed that about my job loss. I felt a lot of anxiety when that happened. And if we feel we don't have control over a situation, we could possibly make the situation worse. However, like with a delay, we can use that time to develop patience or maybe consider changing courses altogether. This might be a good time to weigh what our options are and look around to see what other options are available. A reversal can feel much worse than a halt or delay, because with a reversal, it often means that you at least feel that you've wasted your time, your effort, maybe your money or your energy. So feelings with this type of setback might hinge a lot on whether or not the reversal was expected as a possible outcome, or if you were totally blindsided. If that happened, you might find that a reversal is really hard to overcome. If you had expected whatever this was as a possibility, you might already have a plan B. Or if you're strong enough to think through the issue, you can come up with alternative plans. And one might be to completely abandon the issue, or it might be not to give up, but just to keep trying. Who knows? Everybody's different. Most of us will feel some degree of disappointment, though, when our planned course of action does not lead where we want or expect it to go. But we know that this is going to happen, whether we believe it to be a possibility, a probability, a strong likelihood, or something that hits without warning. These setbacks will happen at some point. But as we've heard from these stories just now, none of these were expected to happen. Not really. If you look back, you might could say, well, this might have been a hint that it could have happened. But for these people, for these stories, they were pretty much unexpected. But as you can see, they began to analyze their options and making preparations about how they were going to move forward. If you've ever grieved the loss of a loved one, and you've probably experienced these 5 stages of grief. There may be more, but these are 5 that are commonly referred to in grief counseling. Your career or your business setback might feel just like a challenge of a death. It's the death of something that happened to you. You may find those feelings are part of the healing process, though, for whatever experience you've had a setback in. At first, you may deny that it even happened. That's the denial stage, usually the first stage. You may be too shocked to accept the reality of that setback. It may take a while to sink in. But once you accept it, you might feel some anger. As you process that anger, you might feel yourself beginning to want to bargain to fix whatever happened. You might then begin to feel depression over the situation. That's not uncommon. But eventually, and hopefully, we begin to accept whatever happened. And we know that going through these stages has helped build the strength so that we can look back on it and make the plans to move forward from that point. A major part of overcoming setbacks will be to understand who you are and to know your individual characteristics and personality traits. Whatever those dominant ones are probably how you've been most of your life. But does that mean that you have to use those same characteristics in times of setbacks? We can't change who we really are, but we can practice, we can adapt our thoughts and actions for different circumstances. And we might need to shift a little bit to achieve goals. If you're a strong-willed person, you might find that you need to tone it down to accept advice or coaching. On the other hand, if you've been weak in handling certain situations, you might learn that strength is needed to make some firm decisions in a timely manner. You can go through these pairs of words and think about how much you're like one of them or not like one of them. And especially during setbacks or times that you have a lot of tension. Are you the kind that will remain defeated and not handle things well? Do you let your emotions get the best of you, or do you tend to use logic to make choices on what to do? Sometimes we may later wish we had done things differently when we have the time to look back. And you see this image of a broken tree trunk that shows a new sprout growing out from it. That illustrates that we can turn adversity into opportunities. However, this does not always happen without effort. In most cases, you'll need to understand a situation through some amount of analysis in order to make good decisions and make progress toward your goals. Now that we've explored types of setbacks and the feelings that go with them, let's take a look at some tools that can help us address them. And some of these can be used proactively to completely avoid a setback or minimize the impact if it should happen. Some of them can be used to shift impact away from the situation, and some might be used reactively after the setback has occurred. Each situation will be different, so consider which tools will work best for you in any given situation. When you take time to reflect on your setbacks, you might notice a before, during, and after pattern. And before is that time when things are going well, and that's a good time to make plans and preparations in case something should go wrong. During is that difficult time when you endure the moments of the setback. And when the setback is passed, you can review why it happened and take steps to prevent, mitigate, or avoid the same thing repeating itself. Sometimes, not always. But most of the time, we just need to have that time of growth and understanding. You may even find that your own experience through your setbacks can be shared with other people and help them also build resiliency. This is a risk management matrix, and it's a very useful tool to look forward and consider what setbacks could happen and the impact they would have if they occur. This example shows words and numbers to assign a risk level to the issues. The x-axis, or the horizontal categories from left to right at the top, show the impact. If something will happen, then what impact will it have? The y-axis, or the vertical categories from top to bottom, show the likelihood of something happening. And I've assigned a number value to each one of those from 1 to 5, and also a word descriptor for each. And I've also decided to use colors of yellow, green, and red to help me visually see the levels of potential risk. So let's assume that I own a clothing shop, and I've noticed that my sales have been going downward for the last several months. Decreasing revenue can have many negative consequences on my business. So I want to find out the reasons for this trend so I can reverse it. Maybe I and my staff brainstormed together and discussed what we've observed, or maybe what we've heard from customers. And we believe that rudeness of our staff has been turning away customers. And we decided that that factor alone will have a catastrophic effect on the business. And it's almost certainly happening. That puts it at the top most right block. So the numbers for that block are 5 for catastrophic and 5 for almost certain. So together, the numeric value for that factor is 10. And so I marked it red. You'll notice that we believe a confusing layout is unlikely a big problem and has marginal impact on sales. So the number in each of those blocks are 2 plus 2. So the numeric value for that risk is 4. Just above that is the clothing faded and shrank. That situation is possibly going to occur, but it would have a marginal impact on customers. And the value for those risks are 3 plus 2, so the total value for that risk is 5. We could continue looking at each risk and quickly determine which ones have the most and the least impact. Obviously, we'd want to begin working on those that have the biggest impact on our sales so that we could fix those problems. And if we can improve our revenue streams, we can be more profitable and reverse these types of setbacks. You can use the same tool that you see here for any situation, really. If it could have a potential to have setback in your future, you might want to do this. If you're prepared and have foresight and have knowledge of how you want to address potential setbacks, you can avoid surprises and have alternative plans on what to do. You can use this for your business, your career path, or even in your personal life. We often feel that we'll take care of things as they happen, but being prepared is possible for a lot of things, not everything, but if you are prepared, it can usually help lessen the bad effects from a setback. And this is a journal, or the way that I keep a journal. I've started looking more closely at my own setbacks as well as my accomplishments. And the way I do it is keeping a spreadsheet, but you could keep a journal, whatever works good for you. So what I do, and in this example, at the end of each month, I'll either use my memory or look back over my calendar as a reminder, and I'll fill in at least one thing that was good that happened to me and one thing that I felt bad that happened to me during the month. I may have more than one thing for each of those. But then in the right column, I write the effect that the bad thing had on me, how I've perceived it to be, and also what could I have done to prevent it or lessen it if it should happen again in the future. And I also don't wait till the end of the month. If something comes to my mind, I'll go ahead and go to this journal and type it in there. So if we think about the risk analysis we saw in the last slide, we might complete this month if I had that clothing shop, and January might look something like this. A high point for the business could be that we hired some new staff and they've already got great customer service skills. But a low point might be that we had 2% of our Christmas sales returned by customers because they wanted a refund or an exchange. Maybe it was because those shirts shrank or faded or something. But the effect of these returns could be a loss of revenue. And we might want to develop a lesson plan or a plan of action so that we could do a better quality review of the merchandise before we actually put it out or stock it for sale. And another lesson that we could learn is that we have gotten better staff. So we're going to do a better job with onboarding new staff and providing very clear expectations of what we want from them regarding customer relations. If you do something like this, it'll only take a few minutes to do each month, and you'll be amazed to look at it at the end of the year when you can look back on every month. You might even find that there's far more positive events than there are negative, or that the negative events were not all that bad anyway. Maybe it felt like it at the moment, but looking back, maybe they were not. And you might find that you can't control some of these low points if they should happen again, but you can begin to teach yourself resiliency by considering alternative actions or ways to avoid or mitigate those negative events. Just simply staying aware of how you handle the setbacks can be valuable. This knowledge is powerful and brings a lot of self-awareness. Not only can it help you in your business and professional life, but it could definitely help you in any areas of personal concern that you might have. Also, being organized can avoid a lot of issues. When we're organized, it's easier to see things clearly. And this can start with cleaning up our lives in many areas, many ways. And cleaning up can include anything from your physical environment to your technology world. Clearing out emails, texts, and voicemails is a good start, and something you have to stay on top of if you want to remain organized. You might find that a low-tech checklist with pen and paper work good for you, just keeping a to-do list. Or you might function better with a program or an app that will help you stay on track of what needs to be done. There are many free apps out there for projects that look like a whiteboard or sticky notes that work well for some people. A password manager can help you remain secure and not have to remember all your passwords. Accounting software can help keep track of your financials so you know if you're making money or just moving money. Look for whatever tricks you need to stay organized within your personal and your business life. The simple life management tip of organization can help you manage setbacks and be more streamlined and purposeful in what you do. And it's one area of life where we actually have a good deal of control over that. And by participating in this webinar, you've already thought about how you can handle your own setbacks. So who can help you on this journey, and what can you do to build resiliency? Well, there's many ways you can find help, and a lot of people are often willing to lend an ear or lend a hand and help out. Our organization, the Veterans Business Outreach Center, and other SBA partners are available to assist small businesses, and we don't charge anything for that service. So check out sba.gov if you have a business and you want some assistance. It might be your trusted friends and families. Perhaps a professional therapist or religious leader could offer insights and guidance. Many employers have employee assistance programs to help their employees and family members, and they're at no charge. There's life coaches that can help guide you through life's obstacles that may be complex. A mentor can often provide insights and share their area of expertise. You might need an educator to gain some additional knowledge or skills. A physical trainer can help you improve your body's condition and strength. Even a competitor in business could possibly share insights for how to have improvement. And don't overlook your medical and mental health too. And the BELL team here refers to what the VBOC does in training at Boots to Business. And BELL is an acronym to stand for banker, accountant, insurance agent, and lawyer. And they're essential professionals that almost every business will need on their team to help at some point. Some ideas you can do on how to change your circumstances or overcome setbacks include getting away for a vacation or a sabbatical. Sometimes we just need time away from whatever we've been doing. Maybe you need to change your environment, including a new place or possibly even a new way of working. Changing your diet and starting to exercise has a lot of health benefits. Managing your medication appropriately is important too. Taking a course to learn something new might improve your circumstances, and learning to meditate and relax can help relax your mind and body. If you feel like you've exhausted your value in your current occupation, it might be that time to consider making a job or vocation change. Perhaps funding is what you need to get back on track. Finding ways to have fun should always be a part of our normal lives, as well as ensuring that our relationships with those people that are close to us or close to our business are healthy and on track. These are just some examples, but find what makes sense for you. And don't just find what makes sense, but then you have to make a plan of action, put that plan into action, and actually follow through and do whatever steps you've decided you need to do. So as a review on this presentation, I challenge you to look back on some of the most prominent setbacks that you've experienced and think about why they happened. Doing an analysis of the situation will help you understand it better, know what caused it, think about if it could have been avoided, what can be done to prevent it from happening again, is there a chance it could happen again, and how can that or similar situations help you become more resilient. Also, use setbacks as a means of understanding yourself better, knowing who you are and how you can make changes when needed to better withstand setbacks. Anytime that we're blindsided, we feel out of control, but we can handle ourselves in a professional way. Often other parties are involved in setbacks, and sometimes we find that we have to set boundaries or rules with those people or parties to prevent future issues. But we can use these low times to understand how we might avoid them in the future or see them as opportunities for improvement. No one is perfect, but the key is to keep striving to reach our goals and not give up. Building resiliency can be learned, and it can help you better withstand whatever comes your way. Just remember that you can overcome setbacks in a beneficial way. So I would like to open up this time for questions and comments. So simply unmute yourself and share or ask whatever you'd like to.
Hello, Janice, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So Janice, I'm not sure if it's on or off topic, but I was wondering if you could help me maybe try to figure out how to get in contact with some of the people that you listed under bail. You said banker, accountant, I don't know what the I is, and then lawyer.
Insurance agent. Are you a current
Insurance.
client?
Pardon me?
Are you a current client of the VBOC?
No, not yet. In about
Okay.
9 months, I'm planning on making a shift in my life. And is there a good site that I can go to in order to find, say, a good accountant?
Yes, let me first ask a couple of questions. If you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, if you're currently in the military, which it sounds like that's probably not the case, we can help you through the VBOC if you're wanting to start a business. If those don't apply to you, there's other organizations within the SBA that can help. But in the meantime, please go to our website, vboc.org, and look
Okay.
under the tab for basic training. We have a
Okay.
lot of great information under basic training that anybody can access no matter what your situation. And
Okay.
are you in Florida?
Yeah, I'm a Florida resident, have a home in Florida, and I'm a veteran.
Okay, fantastic. It sounds like then that you qualify to work with us. When you go to our website, at the very top, there's 2 dog tags, one on the left for Florida, one on the right for not Florida. So anybody listening can do this if you qualify being, and you'll see on our website what that is, what I just mentioned. But if you're in Florida, click that dog tag. It takes you through a quick registration process. And that gets you in our system so that we can assign you to a counselor who will reach out and work with you. If you're not in Florida, the same process happens, except you're assigned to whichever VBOC would cover your geographic area. And if you are not sure, just give us a call. You know, if you're not sure how to handle or navigate that process, or if you qualify to work with us, we'd be happy to speak with you and see if, you know, what's the best route for you. And we can't tell you who to use for banker, accountant, insurance agent, lawyer, but we can certainly point you in the right direction and provide you with information so that you'll know what questions to ask these people. And sometimes we do have resources that we can give you several choices of people you may want to contact or businesses, but we're not going to tell you you must use a certain person. In other words, we try to be fair and unbiased.
Sounds really good. It sounds really promising, and I hope to use the VPOC as kind of a springboard to jump into the deep end of the pool. Thank you for your time today.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. We're so glad that you could join us, and very happy to hear that you've made at least that decision to explore having a business, because it's a wonderful pathway to have income, to have enjoyment, and have control over what you do as a career. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I appreciate your time. And as you can see, setbacks are going to happen. And it's just a matter of how we handle them as to how we're going to recuperate and go forward. And I appreciate your time and look forward to working with some of you that may choose to do so. If not, I wish you all the best in your careers, your life, and your small business. Thank you.